these are not what they seem. They look like giant acorns, but actually they're urns, like for putting ashes of a dead person in. So my family's in the funeral industry, and I think this is one of the products they were thinking about doing, but they decided against. So this was this was like a sample product. It's kind of interesting. It's made of cork. So let's just call this the acorn. I guess what you do is you actually bury it, and then in the top they like put some seeds or whatever, and it's supposed to like grow a tree, I guess, which is a neat idea. Better than some urns. Like if they're just gonna sit on your shelf really weirdly. Like, why would you want to have something with ashes around? That's weird. And they both are reminiscent of nuts. I think it's intentional because they're supposed to become trees. But, oh man. It's weird what people think of. Like for instance, there's this one company that actually takes the ashes of your loved ones and compresses it and makes it into a diamond. And then you can have a ring made with a diamond of the ashes of the person that you loved. Which I don't know, that's a little weird. And there are so many ways that people try to take money from you in the funeral industry. And honestly, if you want to have an urn, buy it off eBay, buy it off Amazon. They're like $10. The urns cost like $5 to make in India, and then they sell them for $180. It's stupid. Because they're just pot metal, basically. Whereas this is actually kind of cool. Oh wow, that's actually really thick. That's like a good couple inches of cork. It's the top part. So weird. It's like a bowl. Actually, yeah, it is almost like a bowl. Alright, it's like, maybe this is kind of worth saving. Like, I know it's just going to be some more junk left over. It's going to be in her house, in her basement, floating around. Well, not floating around, like, ooh. But, you know, just like stuff, it's so weird, but I don't want to throw it away. It's just kind of funky. We have so many urns in the house. Our basement, we have a shelf full of urns. Last year, I burned like 30 urns that 30 urns that I just didn't, we didn't need them. Like, whenever there's one that my mom sees is about to be thrown away at the warehouse, instead of throwing it away, she's like, well, it's nice wood, because some of them do have really nice wood on them. But you don't need 40 of them. You know, like, maybe sometimes it is okay to let them go in the trash, because, like, what, the varnish was too thin, or it's the wrong shade, or whatever. Who knows? So yeah, that's a little look into the weirdness of that. I seem to remember there's also like a weird pulp paper where they actually have seeds embedded in the paper for the funeral, and whenever you throw the paper away, it's supposed to make a tree or something like that, or maybe you can bury it. I'm not sure. Well, or maybe it was like a weird little like disc. Either way, people really like the idea, or like companies were like pushing the idea of somehow planting a tree for when you die. Here's an idea. Burn the body, throw away the ashes, because who cares about that shit, and then plant a tree someday in a forest. It doesn't have to be associated with you. I mean, you can consider it like, hey, we did that for them. Does it need to have a plaque? Does it need to have anything? Just like you don't have to have it to where the ashes are underneath the tree. I mean, there's all kind of this weird obsession with death. At least, I mean, I can understand it kind of. Like, but it's just like, people take it so far. It's so weird. And like, I think scattering someone's ashes is an awesome idea. It's not going to be sitting up on your hearth, if you have a hearth anymore. It's not going to be like in some closet. It's not going to like just be kind of hanging around. And yeah, I don't know. There's so many things to think about the funeral industry and how much of a ripoff it is. Why can't someone die without it costing $10,000? You know what I mean? And they get you too. they really get you into like, well, your loved one would have liked this. And basically what they're saying is you didn't love your loved one if you don't buy the best thing for their funeral. It's like, what do they care? They're dead. Now, of course, the funeral's for the living. But, I don't know, that's just whole rant. Interesting acorn things. Let's just get back to that. Interesting acorn things. Made of cork. And made to hold the ashes of dead bodies. Kind of cool. I had such a weird childhood growing up in the funeral industry. Like body bags, those things can hold so much. Because body bags, the good ones, they won't open for anything. Well, unless you like try to open them. But like if you want to stuff something in them and then like you don't want it to get out, it's not getting out because it's a body bag. I mean, they are designed not to let anything spill out, leak out, kind of like vent out, nothing. So they're pretty handy for like, I think like we would have some in the back of the car and we would just have like, we would just like put tools in them or something like that. But they were kind of like, you know how military surplus bags, the big green ones, actually everything's green in the U.S. military. The big canvas bags that just have like, there's like a huge bag that can hold like a couple weeks of clothes or whatever. It's almost like that, but bigger. Big enough to hold a body because it's a body bag. And big enough to hold a fat body because nowadays we have a lot of fat people. And so yeah, it's like this huge bag that's just, you can throw so much stuff into it. It's almost too big actually. Speaking of big people, unless if this doesn't make you a little too weirded out. So there's actually a huge issue of fat people incinerating the crematoriums. So whenever a fat person lights up, like whenever you have the corpse of a fat person, a fat corpse going into a furnace, when that oil, when that grease hits the ceiling, the entire building goes, or at least that incinerator goes, because there is so much energy inside of a human body. Whenever they burn it, it's like burning a couple 100 pounds of gasoline. Some people are even more than a couple 100 pounds, like 300 pounds or whatever. And so you regularly see that like a burning body got out of control because it's just, there's just so much energy stored in that body, which is, I think it stands on its own. I think that I don't need to say what I feel about that. That's just like, oh, okay. That's that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and thank you very much for watching. See ya.